Well, that's rather brutish of you. You know, even though you've shifted, there's no need for you to completely forget your manners. Try not to trash the room. It's quaint, but I rather like it. Has a sort of cozy peasant atmosphere. Different from the manor, but far from distasteful. Not to mention, it belongs to the innkeeper here. Perhaps you saw them whilst you were stomping your way up here. All right, I get it. You're not in the mood for light banter. What did you come here for? I assume more than anything, you have questions. Or are you just going to make an attempt on my life again? Oh, I see. Well, what do you want to know, Hunter? You are seriously going to ask what I did to you? Hunter, you're joking, right? Did you not learn about vampires in those little books of yours? Or are you in denial? I understand. It must be difficult realizing you've turned into the very thing you despise. Thousands of years ago, when I was violently turned into what I am now, I awoke to a multitude of dark, macabre desires. I had no control over them, and I indulged to my heart's content, only realizing what I had done when I was satiated. Then there's the strange sensations, or maybe the more appropriate thing to say is lack of. The act of breathing is simply a chore when no relief comes from it. Pain is next to nothing when your body can regenerate at an accelerated rate. Everything that used to remind you that you were alive is now just taunting you now that you're undead. Not human. Just a monster. The faster you get over that bridge, the better, in my opinion. At least that's what I did. Lingering on such thoughts does nothing but make you go into an existential loop, trying to decipher how much of you is human and how much is monster. Give in to the monster, but retain enough of your humanity to not turn into a bloodthirsty cretin. Savagely tearing through an entire village for an evening snack is a surefire way to get yourself hunted down. Hell, look how far you chased me for killing two deplorable thieves. Why did I turn you? Well, that's easy to answer. I was bored. You heard me. I was getting bored with our little encounters since we extinguished all of our conversation starters. Plus, you were actually starting to fight me. And that's the least interesting part of having you around. Eventually, you'd mess up and get yourself killed. I needed to think of something else to keep things interesting. So, in the middle of battle, I thought, why not conduct an experiment? Yes, Hunter. An experiment. It's been a long time since I've done one of these experiments of mine, but luckily these things are relatively easy to set up, especially since you started that little fight with me. Gave me easy access to that neck of yours. Once I had my hands on you, I decided to see what would happen if you became a vampire. The possibilities are endless, and I cannot wait to see how everything will turn out. Well, there's multiple factors to look at. Firstly, you. What will you do now that you're a so-called monster? Will you try to go back to the life you had? Pretend to be a human? I mean, hardly anyone can tell what you truly are as long as you don't show anyone those fangs of yours. Or indulge in your new desire for blood in front of anyone? Will you continue your life of a monster hunter while you are one yourself? Think. You could walk a solitary path of a monster hunter imbued with power far beyond any other mortal. You could be a legend walking amongst silly little humans. Though, I imagine they wouldn't cheer your name with the same enthusiasm if they discovered what you truly are. Or, will you create a new life for yourself, based on your new vampiric tendencies? I know an abandoned manor that used to belong to a certain lady that is now awaiting an occupant. Then, there's those little friends of yours. If they find you, do you think they'll spare you? Decide that even though you're a vampire, you must be different. Somehow, some way, you have a sliver of the soul that used to be held within your body. Or, do you think they'll take one look at you and stake you through the heart? The possibilities are interesting to ponder. I quite like this new development. Don't you? My, you're getting heated. We both have sensitive hearing, so be kind to both of us and stop yelling. If you didn't want something like this to happen, then you shouldn't have kept messing with me. You see, many vampires are horrified of a final death. Even though we're monsters, they'll cling on to that mortal fear of finality, of everything coming to a sudden end. I used to share that fear. I kept myself hidden away, perfectly safe for years upon years. I lived a perfectly mundane life. And it was horrible. Imagine having the same mundane day playing on a loop for eternity. It is torture. You want to know what I really fear, Hunter? Deathly boredom. I would much rather die than live in the loop humans wish for. So every century or so, I like to get into a bit of mischief. I left those little pests out in the open. I knew they would be the perfect lure for a little test subject. Like you. I just got lucky that you're even more interesting than most of those tremendously drab monster hunters the guild has been outputting lately. While you don't have quite the same capabilities of the monster hunters of old, you have some wit about you. Even if it's easy to keep myself one step ahead of you at nearly all times. So, what happens now, Hunter? You have your answers. What shall you do now? I'll let you know ahead of time that trying to fight me in such a crowded place would be a horrible idea. Unless you have a death wish. If we fought, we would both make a commotion and physically show our more vampiric qualities. The humans in the tavern would come up to see what is going on and discover what we truly are. Everything would escalate. If either one of us survived, nearly every monster hunter would be searching to slay us. Why don't you rest here and wait for the sun to pass, Hunter? We both know we're safest out underneath the moonlight. My. So quick to suspect I'm up to something. Well, I can hardly blame you, after my previous displays. However, I can assure you I have no cards up my sleeves this time. It is simply more advantageous for us to uphold a temporary truce. Besides, I can't have my little experiment immediately die. No, that wouldn't do at all. Isn't your body in need of rest, Hunter? Going through such intense bodily changes, a monstrous hunger, and chasing me down to this quaint little inn whilst the intense sun drained at your new form. It's all right to give in to your needs, Hunter. From the blood left on your chin, I can tell you gave in to your needs earlier. How was this different from then? Whoops. Did you not know that was there? Forgive me for pointing it out and upsetting you? There's a wash basin over there to get the blood off, since it bothers you so much. It's gone now, if that's what you're wondering. Now, back to what I was talking about. Will you stay here, Hunter? I already said I wasn't going to hurt you. I've already done what I wanted to do to you. There is nothing else I need to do now, other than observe. I'm glad you see reason, Hunter. Rest well.